The Georgia is the best Tier 7 American battleship in World of Warships Legends right now. A tall claim, I know. You might think there are some other contenders for best battleship at Tier 7, best American battleship at Tier 7. You might say the Massachusetts, the Alabama, the Iowa, or even the Kansas. But no, if you said any of those, what was that, 4 or 5 other Tier 7 American battleships? I don't know how many we have. If you said any of the other ones, no, you are wrong. And I will prove it to you by rigorous science, as usual, because I am Xarkun, this is World of Warships Legends, and as you all know, this channel is devoted to the rigorous intellectual pursuits of science. We hold ourselves to very high standards here. We only use the best available data, and we don't draw any non-objective conclusions that aren't totally warranted. But I present to you our first piece of evidence. Take note of the Kansas, maybe one of the contenders for best Tier 7 American battleship. Well, how do you feel now after having witnessed that shot? I don't know. That's 40k gone from the Kansas's hit points pool in the span of a single salvo, but that's not all. Ladies and gentlemen, because our guns are about to be reloaded again, the Kansas is still broadside, and will he eat another healthy dose of American justice? The answer to that is yes. 2 citadels on the first shot, 2 on the second, 4 citadels in total, and the Kansas is now sinking. Now, after having witnessed that, you might find yourself thinking, well, I am unconvinced. This showing, this 66,000 damage done to a Tier 7 battleship in the span of less than 3 minutes, not impressive enough for me, Xarkun. I'm going to need to see something a little bit better. I'm not going to be convinced that the Georgia is the best Tier 7 American battleship unless I witness it take out a lower tier, Tier 6 battleship in one single salvo, and that salvo is a dev strike. Surely, you cannot provide that evidence to me, Xarkun. It does not exist. Battleships don't merely blap other battleships, even battleships of a lower tier than them, out of existence in the span of a single salvo, especially not if those lower tier, Tier 6 battleships are at more or less pristine, full health condition at the very end of a game. That's never happened. It never will. Now, you might say that. Well, you might say that. Let's continue on with this battle. Look, another broadside Tier 7 American battleship, the Iowa. We didn't really even take very careful aim there. We just relied on the aim assist. Sort of disrespectful, and oh look, another citadel. The Iowa goes down as our second kill of the game. Not even 5 minutes have elapsed in this battle, and we have acquired 81,000 damage done with 9 shell hits. That's right, that's all it took is 9 shell hits, ladies and gentlemen. That is because the USS Georgia enjoys an alpha strike on its armor piercing in excess of 17,000, provided that you are using gyrating drill bits as a skill on your commander, which I am. That gives it the highest alpha strike in the entire game with its armor piercing, even higher than the Yamato, even if the Yamato's commander is also running gyrating drill bits. Maybe don't quote me on that. Now that I say that, I kind of feel like it might be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure it's accurate. Check for yourselves if you don't believe me. But we have a Piotr Bag Ration to deal with, also known as Bilbo Bag Ration. He's running away from our team on the other side of the map. We're sort of creeping in the center here because the center is going to offer us a vantage point from which we can acquire even more juicy broadsides that we can shoot our armor piercing into. Bilbo Bag Ration unfortunately hit that island, beached himself, and As a consequence, our shells missed because we didn't account for the beaching, but we are accounting for the reversing and the speed. We launch another super accurate salvo at the Bilbo bag ration, or at least the salvo appears to be accurate. It's not. It brackets his entire ship and we completely miss. Rear turret of justice? No. Justice is dispensed by our teammate Gneisenau, who takes down the Bilbo bag ration. Meanwhile, we have a Scharnhorst in front of us. Is this the Tier 6 battleship that's going to be dev-struck? Of course not. The Scharnhorst is still ridiculously well armored, and his turtleback saves him from imminent demise. North Carolina, on the other hand, that's a Tier 6 battleship. Keep that in mind. Another Tier 6 ship, the New Orleans, a cruiser, a very dev-strikeable cruiser at that. Also, like the Bilbo bag ration, pushing in, trying to get away from our teammates on the other side of the map. And is this enough to take him out? No, of course not. We do hit him with 5 of our 6 shells, but they're all over penetrations. Can't quite find the Citadel, so the New Orleans lives for now, but we're about to cross the threshold into 100,000 damage done. And we've got practically, a Kagero. We have a Kagero in front of us. That is not good, but it's also okay because we were not going to push through this gap at all. We were always going to make this turn, even if it was a little bit dangerous in front of 2 battleships and a cruiser, because pushing into that would be certain instant demise. So luckily, the Kagero thought we were going to push in as well. He launched his torpedoes straight at us, but little did he know we were not going to push in. We never intended it. No, we wanted to get into a kiting position so we could maybe shoot at somebody. Not the Amalfi, though, because he has an agile cruiser build and he's very irritating to hit. You'll see that a little bit later on. Instead, Flanders, who is actually very fast, something that I had not quite accounted for as much as I should have. So the salvo, very, very disappointing, but that's okay. We're going to disengage a little bit. We're going to reset the situation. We're not one of those crazy battleship commanders who sees odds stacked against them in the form of 5 enemy ships, pushes bow into it, gets caught, and then gets sunk and goes to the forums to complain that HE spam melted him down too quickly. No, we're going to reset, reposition, and we're going to come back from a bit of a different approach. We shoot at the Flanders again. Results not super great. We're considering shooting at him once more, but that New Orleans pops up again and it's just too juicy to resist. What is he doing? We don't quite know. Looked like he was coming to a stop, but as soon as we shoot, he accelerates, and I think that's actually going to be enough to save him yet again. This time, he takes a full penetration, so I guess he got lucky. Still, no shortage of enemy targets to shoot at. Perhaps the Flanders once more. Is he giving broadside? No, he's pushing in. What else is going on? Look at the minimap. Scharnhorst? No, not a good target, I suppose. Flanders is looking like our only choice, but there is Amalfi. And after all, what do we want to do? What if the Kagero is coming around the island and going to pop out in front of us? Do we really want to push around this side of the island, or do we maybe want to go back in, have our guns on the port side of our ship, and then sort of cut across the circle made by these islands in the other direction? I think that's what we're going to do. Doesn't look like the Kagero is out here. The Amalfi was the only one spotting us. He smoked up, and frankly, it's a bit of a lost cause to try to hit him. He is mostly just going to amount to a pest. Scharnhorst looks like he's poised to push out. Flanders, broadside to us, but we are not spotted yet. We have not yet gone far enough behind the island. The enemy team does not know we're here. We have the element of surprise, and the Scharnhorst is very surprised indeed as we remove most of the rest of his remaining hit points and net ourselves the high caliber. The Scharnhorst may have launched torpedoes, but I expect he was so shocked that no torpedoes will yet be incoming. Nevertheless, we're going to act as if he did launch them. We're going to turn to the left to sail out of their path, and just sort of hold back for a few moments. No torpedoes appear to be imminent coming into our direction, so we can safely resume our turn, and we'll be able to turn out here and angle against the enemies in front of us. Flanders goes down before we even round the corner, and there is a nearly full health North Carolina, a nearly full health Tier 6 battleship giving us broadside. Now granted, he does get chunked there, but then he gets dev struck by our armor piercing with 2 more citadels. We get the Confederate medal and bring our damage done total up to 186,000. So this, ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you as scientific proof that the USS Georgia is in fact the best Tier 7 American battleship in the game. Some people would say the USS Kansas is, but we all saw what happened to the Kansas earlier on in this battle, and as a cherry on top, we witnessed the power of this fully armed and operational battle station as it absolutely demolished yet another capital ship, this time of a lower tier. So yes, the Georgia is the best Tier 7 American battleship. It's certainly one that I've been having a lot of fun in recently. Frankly, the accuracy, even though it's not perfect on every salvo, is consistent enough to be reliable, I suppose. And then that big, punchy alpha strike, as you've seen, is just completely ridiculous. It absolutely makes mincemeat of the enemy team, unless the enemy team has an Amalfi that has the most agile cruiser build known to man and is simply wiggling and jiggling to get out of the way of any incoming fire. Alas, this pretty much concludes our coverage of this battle, ladies and gentlemen, because the rest of it is spent by me chasing this Amalfi, chasing this Amalfi, trying and failing to shoot him as he kites away, and quickly and agilely changes direction so as to avoid all of my shots, as well as the shots of all of my teammates. You can see him there just completely avoiding all damage and finally hitting the border, where he remains for some time until the battle draws to a close with less than 30 seconds left to go. Kind of take a look around for the Kagro. If only we could sink him and the Amalfi, we'd get a Kraken, but we're just going to have to settle for 4 kills and just over 186,000 damage done. 188,000 damage done, to be precise. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see the other Georgia game that I did over 200,000 damage in versus I think only 6 or 7 enemy ships, because I have that as well. Let me know in the comments. And with that, see you next time. Goodbye.